Good morning, guys. It's not the morning, it is 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, first, look at my view. Can you see my view? Look at the view. It's cute, right? Today, we're going to be talking about a topic called grief. Oh my god. Grief loss part 2. I'm going to call it part 2. And why am I bringing this up? The first grief and loss thing I did was probably a year ago. And it touched on great topics, trying to help somebody go through the grief, but I didn't talk about what the process is like. Well, recently, I have definitely felt what the process has been like. Losing a lot of people from my childhood, I'll say. And I'm only 22. People I felt, some were like family, some weren't. Some people were just people who were in my life at a point in time that still impacted me. Why am I speaking about this? As it's very tough for me. I've been going through it for probably... And the funny thing, and I know this is going to sound like a me moment, but I want you to relate whatever you're going through to the moment that I'm speaking about right now. The reason why I say this is because we all go through life differently, but has the same sometimes connotation or meaning as lesson. So let's get back to it. For the days that I found out, twice this happened. The second time it just really stuck with me, but it was grieving someone who did not deserve to die just because they never got to see happiness within earth in life, which really broke me down to the point where every single time, for like 3 days, it's still really heavy. I just kept hearing, wake up, you need to wake up. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And it was like, we all get it, we all get signals, and we all get messages. And I feel like I wasn't waking up to something. And I still don't think I am, because again, it's 4 days in. But this is where I'm telling you how the grieving process takes its time, it takes its course. You cannot just legit get back to your lifestyle like that. You'll miss the whole lesson if you never really feel what's really going on or how you feel. In the grieving process, we like to do dumb things. Not dumb, but impulsive things, because we feel like we don't got time. And time is limited. It feels like time is more limited during process of grieving, of how much... I don't know if this is connected to anybody of you, but recently I've just been feeling like life has been, limited. That we have not abundant amount of time on earth. Which made me really wake up to realize, just in general in life, how we really take time for granted within what we want to do for ourselves, what we want to accomplish, what we want to be happy in our lives. You create happiness, and even me grieving, we all need to go through the negative to see the positive. But what I'm saying is that, how do I put this? Grieving can show you how much abundance there is in life, there is to experience, and how I don't want to say limited, but how time can go very fast, or like that. You don't know when's our, I don't want to say it, but due date. And I hate to put this by grieving, but I feel like it's a great wake-up call for us to realize that we're not immortal. We're not people who have so much amount of time. And I feel like in life, due to social media and things like that, just taking away our conscience or span, we forget to realize that we don't got that much time. What are we going to leave on earth? What type of message are you going to leave to the people of the next generation? What are you going to leave behind? And most of us, I feel, sit behind the problems that happen in their lives. So what I mean by problems, I feel like we just kind of go over the actual issues in life. So it's kind of very your choice what you want to leave and what you want to stand for. Don't rush a process that is not supposed to be rushed. Grief is not supposed to be a linear type of process, but it's not something that you just let go. When I mean let go, throw yourself into work or throw yourself into something that feels like would be beneficial, but honestly you're just doing it out of survival because you don't want to feel your emotions. And recently I realized how some people expect us to deal with grief and others don't. And I say this because I think I was talking to someone pretty reputable, meaning she has a license and things like that in their, like, psychology. And they said the best way is to just implement windows of time to grieve the person. And 110% I say that's a great way of doing things. But I also say there's another part that you could learn from this process. And a lot of people, we really don't talk about it because we're in pain, we're suffering, it's a tough time. But I want you also to be able to redirect this to help your daily process of this in your time to come, years from now, whenever you want and start life back over again. Because it's okay to step out of society or step out of what you're doing to feel this pain. It's not easy. I want you all to know one thing about it. You're not alone. Everybody goes through grief in this lifetime. There's nobody who can not go through life without grief, or without processing grief. Grief from relationship, grief from friendship, grief from somebody lost. Grief goes so many ways. Don't look at it as just a linear thing. But we can also see it as a way to transform into being more self-aware within life and what's going on. Within our lives as well too. Wake up call, you want to call it. I want to call. I'm talking about my first part. If you stay for that, maybe this is it. The wake up call of realizing that this is heavy, but what can I do to make this, to shed some light into my life because of it? And how do I explain that? The process of grief is like something you never want to rush, but you also want to transform that. I don't want to put this for everybody else, but if you think like me and you think that once something, an external thing that you couldn't control puts you at a surpass, for me, I just want to use that energy and create something of my own. Doing something that's memorable and reputable that they or the person or whatever would recognize, be proud of. Or just doing it because you want to show that life's not predictable. And I want to work with grieving through it to realize there's something on the other side of things. And I want to do it for them in remembrance, you could say. There's a word, I know it, that honors them in a weird way. That's how I think. Let's not get past the point of delirium and get back to the topic of grief and transitioning it into something that we could wake up for our own lives and live more in our own lives. That's a better way of saying it. Of everything that I put into perspective, the sum up is to basically live in our own lives. Being able to do things that we won't regret if the time does come for us. Or maybe comes for another and you want them to see something before. Like your grandparents or something like that. You want to finish college before you pass away. Whatever it is, it's good for you to know. But it makes you think of what you want in your life. It makes you rethink that life's not linear. We don't know when's the end. And it's time to start living life. It's funny. My name is Liv. So, oh shoot. I almost fell. I don't have no who's screaming out my window right now, but welcome to college. And what I mean by it's time to start living your life doesn't mean you gotta go plan 5,000 vacations. You gotta go travel the world. I would want to do that. But what I'm saying is it's more what you want out of life. How you want to live in this life. In time. Meaning, are we always going to be upset about little things? What we see online, what we see in our internal lives, and let that overwhelm us? While we don't got that much time anyway to waste, why would we waste it on such a negative way of thinking? You understand that? And through grief, I realized that you can create your own happiness. Ooh, that scared the crap out of me. Life can be happy. You can create that in your life. You can live in that happiness as well too. What I mean by it, it's your choice to create what you want. If you want a relationship, create it. find somebody that's a good match. Not easy in this world. Not gonna say it is. But sometimes we have to not settle, but create I never meant to take that part out. You have to create relationships outside of relationships, meaning friends, family. Find other relationships that fill the void of what is lacking. If that is something that makes you feel alive in life. Some people feel more alive when they're by themselves and going after their dreams and what they desire. And I'm not saying that they're different. I'm saying that these are all examples of what you can do to feel like you're living more. I just got my teeth Invisalign. Sorry. Light skin. So, it's not an easy process, what you're going through right now. And I never say it was. But don't give into just playing it off or avoiding the obvious question and problems that you have in your head. And the questions that you keep going over and over. Why? There's a lot. I have some in my book. Why do I want to be unhappy before I die? Do I want to live an unhappy life? What am I avoiding that I will regret? And I kept thinking about this. Why? Because the person that was closer that passed away was someone who was my age. And someone who I knew since childhood. Didn't know her so we were not very close. But it was enough to impact me to go within myself. Because I seen her at such a young age, innocent, 8 years old. And knowing her back then, even a little bit more older, I'm gonna say until middle school, I say. Knowing her at that age and then seeing her now pass would impact you. Why? No one deserves to live such a short life and not to be able to figure out that happiness is available in this world. And it's tough. I'm trying to get through it every single day for it, but I literally gave myself a piercing, dyed my hair, have the next tattoo idea, and it's never okay to lose your life so early. No matter who you are. We all deserve to live a happy life, even if we're considered broken or we're not healed, whatever. That's why we're here, to learn the lessons, to become better for ourselves. So, please, a lot of people need to understand, and I need to just put this as a regular note. Everybody around you is living a life the same as yours. Maybe not every single experience, but they're still living life the same as yours. So do not judge another soul's. Let's get back on topic. You can let grief break you. And I'm going to be so blunt on this. This is my Jersey side of me, but you're going to get it. You could let grief break you, or you could allow it to make you a whole new bridge. It's your choice. And I've been realizing that grief does not have to stand anywhere in the way of your process in life, of developing on who you are. You also have to sit down and realize that this is not an easy process, and I'm going to keep reiterating it because it's not easy. Sometimes we like to pretend it's not there or never happened, and as that's great to get through your day, and some moments, is not great for the future or a couple months of you past you, or coming future you, I should say, that is going to go and feel this emotion like it's brand new. And that has never grieved it because they never decided to feel the emotions. So, it's one thing, I want to make a separate video about how to create happiness within yourself, but this is more of just getting the basics, of knowing that this is a time and process in your life that you need to process. And I know if this landed, or if you're watching this right now, it was meant for you. Why? Because I put these videos out, and that's it. If the message needs to be for somebody, it's there for somebody. And I always say somebody's watching you to give you this message. Why? Because why else? You understand? Why else would you be able to be across this video? There's a bunch of videos out there. You understand that? But something new that you would resonate with this message. And I want you to keep this with you. And when I mean keep this saved for you to just keep coming back to. And why I say that is sometimes you need that person to keep telling you that. That's what I did for myself. I kept telling myself things are going to be okay. And I journaled. I figured out things on waking up by trying to wake up. And I hope this guides you to find questions that I put in this so you can find answers. If you don't journal, just ask yourself. Put it on a recording. Hear it back for yourself. Listen to it after a couple months when you're done grieving, and you'll realize that this is your awakening. Oh my god, I scratched myself. Sorry guys. So I want you guys to be grateful every day, to wake up every day. Sometimes people don't get that, or sometimes people are literally in fear right now in their lives. So be grateful to be waking up where you're at. This process is never easy. I never said it will be, but this is something to get you started. I feel like the other one that I made about grief was more about how to process it, that processing what's happening and why it's happening in life, just as a normal experience, but something that gives you comfort. I felt like this one should be more on how do we work through this, and give yourself time to grieve this pain. Change things you need to change. Transform things that you want to transform for yourself. Right. This is not an easy process, as I keep repeating, because I'm going through it, and I think every second I get, I'm crying. Every moment that I have, I'm bawling my eyes out. So it's crazy. So I wanted to let you guys know I'm always here. And I want you guys to tackle those hard questions. Why? Because I swear there will be an outcome for it. And if you don't, and you want to just take one thing out of this by any of what I said, is to live. Live for another. When I mean live for another, live like they had a second chance at life through you that maybe they couldn't experience. And you are strong enough to be able to I want you guys to know that it does get better, and you will wake up from this. And sometimes you need that wake-up call to jolt back something that you've been lacking on. Got a notification. Anybody named Maddie? Maybe that relates to you, because it just came up, something about something, Big Brother. And you will wake up from this, and you will wake up from this pain, and hopefully you choose to transform it into realizing that don't stick with the stagnant life you have. Don't give up on things that you desire. Don't let the past define you either, to stay stuck. Don't take this so lightly, I should say, because this could be a very transformative wake-up call for your life that jolts something of a change for yourself, or it could keep you on the stagnant path and more negative. Why? Because you had that pain in you, that hurt, that grief, that darkness. So I really want you guys to take that out into consideration, that I believe grief is a sign for us to wake up and change. I believe, and I'm going to say this again, I believe grief is the sign for us to wake up and change. It's really, if I can sum all that up into this video, that's what I believe. I believe that grief is something that can show us change within our lives, that we can wake up and change for our lives, for the people around us, cherishing people more, waking up that things need to change for things to be better for our own lives. And take that as a lesson that life can be limitless in mindset thinking. But we also have limited time living on Earth. So we must take it more carefully and more risky sometimes, I said. Alright, I hope this helped. Honestly, I don't know if I'm going to get through this, but I didn't cry, so that's kind of good. I almost cry. But I'll see you guys on the next. Peace.